What shaking and baking, YouTube? We're back again with another one. This time the 25 V3 from Voltrove. Long anticipated, long awaited, long requested. Mark didn't really want to get into the 25s because he doesn't roll with atomizers this small typically. However, he was down for it. The community obviously showed a bunch of support for it, so he did it up. So why don't we dive in, see all of what's inside this box. All right, so as you can see from the 38, Mark stuck with the slide pocket style packaging, which all of this just looks fantastic. Graphics on it, everything looks really good. Obviously you got all your information down here, your style, size, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Now when we get into it, a little pamphlet, just like last time. It's got all your O-rings listed on it, which is awesome because everybody knows the headache we go through over the years of trying to source out the O-rings that have since fell off of atomizers that are no longer in production. So in our box here, as always, we got a bunch of little spares, complete changeover of O-rings, we got replacement grub screws, you got your little Allen key that I hope nobody ever uses, but if you absolutely need it, it's there, that's cool. Bubble glass. Bubble glass is dope. Increases your capacity from 4 mil to 6 mil. And then you got the business. The little banger of a 25. I super dig this tank. I super dig everything about it. It's clean. It just is excellent. It's excellent. The threading on the base is fantastic, and I really like the quarter turn top. It works flawlessly. If we dive into it here, whoops, we're unscrewing the wrong part. All right, so occasionally O-rings get a little swollen, not a big deal. There we go. This is usually like a first time only type situation where that O-ring on the bottom is just a little puffy and doesn't want to let go. But these up here do, so not a big deal. Quick swapperoo. And we're back to good. Okay, so here's our deck for the 25. You've got airflow at the center. You've got airflow at the sides. Like I said, you got grub screws, your juice ports. It is, it's just a phenomenal looking tank, and it performs even better. So on that note, why don't we dive in, get her built. All right, we're back to the build. So what we did is, this particular tank is actually for a very good friend of mine. So he wanted to run a single, he wanted to be low wattage, 50-60 watts. So we did a 2940 N90 3-core stag, 6 wrap, 4 millimeter. Then for our legs, we cut our legs at 4.5 millimeter. So for a single 4 millimeter coil to sit, perfect. Aligned with the airflow and no issues fouling inside of here. 4.5 millimeter was perfect. Kept everything nice and close. So now we got a wicket. We have, as I've already stated, a 4 4mm inner diameter. So for 4mm, we're right around 3/8 of an inch wide. We're going to remove our outer layers. Break up them fibers inside. Again, perfect resistance. You get a little bit of drag on the coil, but nothing, you're not forcing it through, and it's not just falling through. All right. Now, with the V3s, okay? If anybody was a super fan of the V3s, you already know. But if you're unfamiliar with them altogether, at first glance you see this juice well that is very deep, right? And you think, I'm going to run that cotton all the way down. It will get you sorted where it's not going to leak, but it will not get you sorted to the point where you're like, OMG, the flavor is amazing off of this. So what you want is on the side of this, the juice flow control has this little index at the very top, right? This little keeper for the cotton. You want to take a pair of scissors, you want to set it in that recession up against the upper edge of it. You're going to go at a little bit of an angle, and you're going to cut. You're going to spin it, you're going to repeat that process. Now, when in doubt, fluff it out. Now you see where your cotton sits, based off of our cut point, is about halfway in between the opening for the juice well. Okay? That is all you're looking for. Main reason being is you want juice to be able to come into the wick port and kind of hang out in that little space underneath. It's like a reserve, right? It's just hanging out there waiting to absorb into the cotton. If you're packing this all the way down, then it has no juice, has no place to kind of sit other than up against the side of this, and it just doesn't work out well. It ends up kind of mute, kind of dry, and leaves you wondering, is this tank really that good? And I'm going to tell you, this tank is phenomenal. But if you don't wick it right, then it's just mid at best. So that's all you're looking for. Now, since this is for somebody else, and I'm sure people want to see the 25 up and running, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of my 25s, that's dual coil. We're going to wick that up, and then we're going to take her for a ride. So, let's go grab it. Actually, before we do, no, we'll save it. We'll save it. Alrighty. Like magic. We're back. We've now got a stainless steel 25, and we've got duals in here. Specs on the duals are a 29, 38, and 90, 6 wrap, 2.5 mil, 0.11. These little guys are fantastic. For 2.5mm ID, we don't need a whole lot of cotton. So cut these thin little strips. These thin little strips are, boy, right around 1/4 of an inch, maybe a smidge less. As always, peel off, give it a pull. This might actually be too much. Yep. Too much. We're going to remove just a little bit. There we go. All right, so we've got our cotton run through. We're going to repeat the same process we just did. When in doubt, fluff it out. Now, when you think about it, 2.5mm coils is the equivalent of roughly the same amount of cotton you'd use for a 5mm single. So the 4mm single, if you end up going a little heavy with the cotton, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's probably still going to perform excellent with a little bit more cotton than I use, just because you'll see that running duals at 2.5 has no issues supporting the amount of cotton required to wick each coil. Bada boom. Bada boom. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now, it's time to juice it up, take it up top. Before we do, real quick, bit driver, okay? The 25 is the same size grub screws as the Voltrove RBA, which is 1.3 millimeters, okay? Do you need a Weehaw driver? No, you don't. They're terribly expensive, but you could afford even a hobby grade set of drivers, and it makes life so much better. You strip a lot less screws, you have a lot less issues. So there's my shameless plug for getting yourself a quality driver. Okay, so let's juice it up, take it up top. All right, we're back up top, got her filled up, all set, ready to go. So on the 25 V3, you also have juice flow control. So the chimney section rotates. So when you fill it, close it, take your cap off, fill her up, turn it back. Easy peasy. I dig it. I like it a lot. Yeah. It just is one of those tanks that works fantastic. yet again, I mean, the 38 is absolutely stellar. The EG is absolutely stellar. The 35LE is absolutely stellar. Yeah, it's just a long list of excellent tanks put out by Voltrove. If you're wondering what this little sexy piece is, this is the G1 enclosure exclusively from James Enzel of Go Mods. You can find him on Facebook. Super hella nice guy. Great quality work. Great communication. Yeah, nice little piece. Packs a 4S 1300 mile LiPo. So it's probably not going to get you through 5 days of vaping without a charge, but it's going to get you through 1 or 2 in a very discreet, nice little pocket carry size. So setting at 85 watts. Let's take it for a rip. It just keeps going. So, how do you know when your stuff is wicked correctly? Okay, I get asked that a lot, and there's actually a really easy way to tell. Obviously, if you can chain vape it, you've done well. However, if you can take a pull off of a tank and you don't hear a sizzle at the very end, you're doing things right. No sizzle. If you're taking a pull off of a tank and you get done and it sounds like a wastegate valve on a turbo, if that makes sense, if it kind of goes like that, it's struggling to get juice fast enough for the wattage that you're asking for. So if we turn this up, now this is a very small build. The intent is to not be run at some ridiculous wattage, like double what I was running. Oh, I didn't expect that. I don't feel like going much higher. But needless to say, if you're running it and you take a long pull, and at the very end it makes a kind of sound, your wicking is struggling. Another telltale way is if you don't have excessive bubbles when you take a draw. So I think our bubble popped up on the front. As you can see, every time we're pulling on it, you get bubbles. Bubbles means it's feeding the wicks. So if you're not getting a whole lot of bubbles, chances are it's struggling. So does it apply only to the 25V3? No, it applies to every tank. So if you've got atomizers tanks where your flavor is not amazing, be mindful of those things. By ear, if you can hear it. Visually, if you don't see a lot of wicking bubbles. If it's not wicking properly, you're not getting the full potential of the atomizer. It's just so good. It's so good. We're only sitting at 85 watts, but being able to take big pulls like that makes these smaller tanks really, really amazing. You can grab the 38, and you're taking maybe a 3/4 or 1 second pull, firing at 250 watts. For me, with smaller tanks, if I can take a big pull that hits my chest the same, it's just as satisfying. It doesn't need to be huge. It just needs to hit right. And this little guy checks all those boxes. all those boxes. And then some. 25 Voltrove. If you've got one and it doesn't do that, hopefully this video helps you. Because this, for me, is the closest I've ever come to the flavor and the satisfaction I get off a GT4. If you don't know what the GT4 is, for me, it is the all-time single coil benchmark RTA. Is it for everybody? No. If you're solely on a 35 to a 41 millimeter type atomizer, you're probably not going to get down on a GT4. If you enjoy vaping other stuff, the GT4 is the benchmark. And this is so goddamn close. Except it's readily available and it's like half the cost, if not more than less half the cost. So GT4 type level of flavor and overall vape satisfaction in a package that comes in around $100. Yep, not to mention some of the best customer service in the business. I don't know if you guys have ever reached out and spoke to Mark at Voltrove. He is a hella stellar human being. Super nice guy. So yeah, that's a 25, man. Like I said, if yours ain't banging like that, hopefully this video helps it come to light. You get very little to no condensation down in the bottom. I don't know if you guys remember the V330 or the V335, but it had excessive condensation down at the bottom. This doesn't, and I don't know what the difference is. Maybe it's just the overall diameter of the coil size, but needless to say, like, this is an extremely clean running tank. You don't end up with a ton of condensation on top of your mod. It just is, it's all of that. It's all that. So that's my shake on the 25. It's an awesome tank. And if you have one and it ain't that great, hopefully this helps it be that great for you. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. Don't hesitate to scroll through all my videos. I got a pile of them. Like them all. Watch them all. Who knows? You could learn something new. But, alright. Peace out, guys.